Hello friends. Welcome back to Wonderfully Made, Bible Stories for Children. I'm so glad you're here. Last time, God's promise to David seemed to be in danger. A little boy named Joash was hidden in the temple for 6 years. And we discovered that nothing can stop God's promises. Today, Joash will finally come out of hiding. A crown will be placed on his head. The people will rejoice. And everyone will see that God had been keeping his promise all along. Are you ready? Let's jump in. For 6 years, little Joash had lived safely in the temple. Only a few trusted people knew he was there. Then, in the 7th year, Jehoiada the priest gathered the commanders of the guards. He brought them into the temple. There, he showed them the young boy. The commanders were amazed. He made a covenant with them and put them under oath. Then he carefully explained how they would protect the young king. Everyone carefully took their places around the temple. Some stood at the gates. Others stood beside the altar. Together they guarded the young prince. Then Jehoiada brought Joash out before the people and placed the crown on his head. He gave him the book of God's law. Then Joash was anointed king. Everyone clapped their hands and shouted, "Long live the king!" The trumpets sounded. The people rejoiced. God's promise to David was still alive. Queen Athaliah heard all the noise. She hurried to the temple. When she arrived, she saw young King Joash standing beside the pillar, just as kings did. The commanders stood nearby. The trumpets were sounding. The people were celebrating. Athaliah cried out in surprise, accusing everyone of turning against her. But the time had come for her rule to end. She was taken away from the temple, and her life came to an end. Joash became the rightful king of Judah. Jehoiada helped the people make a covenant before the Lord. They promised that they would be the Lord's people. The people removed the idols of Baal from the land. Once again, they began to worship the one true God. There was great joy throughout Jerusalem. God had faithfully kept his promise. Let's think about today's story together. Who kept Joash safe for all those years? What promise was God keeping through Joash? Why can we trust God's promises, even when we cannot see what He is doing? How can remembering God's promises help us this week? God's promises can never fail. Sometimes we must wait a long time before we see what God is doing. But even when His work is hidden, God is always faithful. We can trust Him because He always keeps His word. Thanks for joining me today. Next time on Wonderfully Made, a young king will want to repair God's temple. People from all over Judah will bring gifts. And we'll discover how everyone can joyfully help care for God's house. Until then, remember, you are wonderfully made. Bye for now.